the market forces will not take care of it. And if the market forces do not take care of it, it will be business as usual. And Make in India, to my understanding, is going to be just a slogan. So if you are not able to get your policy parameters right and clean up this market and put some sort of a rationality behind it, and you say, well, look here, this is how it should happen, only then young entrepreneurs, small companies can find a place in that. What we have suggested is this environment has to change. We have given some policy parameters. Very short, let me tell you what it is. It says that if you look at the capability, you can start from the right bottom and say, well, look here, I have capability for maintenance, repairs. Okay, I'll give you some components. Somebody says, well, look here, I'll give you some assemblies. Somebody says, well, I'll give you a subsystem. Somebody says, well, look here, I can integrate the system. And someone says, well, I can give you I am a major integrator. Now, across the spectrum, there are a large number of people there. Now, if you have a capability which is only to repair, then I say, well, look here, okay, I go in for buy global and you repair it here. Somebody has a capability which does everything, then I say, well, make in India, buy in India. So you have from buy global to make in India, and for each one of these categories, a decision matrix is suggested and say, well, go through this flow chart and determine what is the equipment that you have to buy globally in the present context, what you can make in India in the present context. Go through that iterative process. Do not juggle the figures. There's a scientific method of doing that. And maybe today, something which is what you are not capable, somebody else will develop that capabilities, maybe in 6 months, maybe in 9 months, maybe it is there, you don't know. So have search parties. See which is the person who's doing it. Now, if you are able to do that, then you start matching. So you match your Make in India, Buy Global, all these categories with the capabilities which are there available. Now, the capabilities may be from very small components to integration. Now, against that capability, then you match your industries. Now, if you say match your industries, and you say, well, look here, at present, there is no one in India, apart from the public sector undertaking, which is capable of giving you a fighter aircraft. I'm talking of private industry or a submarine. But I want them to have it. Now what do? I can't have a competition amongst themselves and say, you give me a quote, because he's never made a submarine, so how can he give you a quote? Now if he doesn't give you a quote, you say, well, I'll never buy it from you, I'll go and buy from abroad. Now the question is that you have to choose these partners without a commercial bid. Now, if you don't have a commercial bid, then you come one below and you say, well, look here, I'll determine their capabilities. There can be a scientific, transparent, rational method of determining the capabilities of what we call strategic partners. So government chooses this private industry and say, well, look here, you are my strategic partner for such and such, and we have identified 6 areas where these things can be done. Now these are the major ones, and once you are there, well, you will be there for 50 years or 60 years or whatever it is, and there will be a long-term covenant which will be signed. So that covenant takes care of everything, including visits to the factory, looking at your technology upgrades, looking at your skills, everything, including what we say is price. So basically in a competitive atmosphere, what you do is, you have a competition and you say, well, I discover the price. What we are saying is don't try and discover this price through competition, because in India today you can't have a competition because the goods are not made in India. So you determine the price by going to his factory and saying, well, look here, I know how to cost it. So if I was making it, this would have been the cost. I give you some 5% or 10% or whatever this is a profit. And that's how it is done, in fact, in the public sector. So the same thing you do for the private sector, and they are your partners. So you have strategic partners. Now, you go one step below, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and you have a system where these major integrators will go down, or maybe in some cases you can be a direct supplier. And this is what we call development partners. The reason is, let's say that you want an equipment and it has been developed by 1 or 2 people, and you place an order. And then after 1 year you say, well, another one, I'll have another competition. The third party comes in. Well, what happens to this guy? Because he can't sell it to anybody else. It's not a civil product. Only the government of India is buying. So it's a total waste of his time, energy and resources. It's unfair competition. And you can't have a system where you keep dumping people. I mean, we have got cases where even joint ventures in public sector, you know, they have dumped their joint venture partner and gone and brought from abroad. It doesn't make really sense, any sense at all. Nobody in his right senses would do it. You see, as individuals, we don't do it. You go to a particular tailor and you like him and you keep on going to him. You don't haggle with him all the time. And it's there. I mean, if you can do it, because you have confidence in that fellow, and you can't. Now, the reason why we do it is because we keep on comparing this defense material with the civil template. So, what we are saying is, shift. Just forget. And you have a shift. The way of thinking is, and the moment you have these development partners, then, they can work together all the time, because you see, technology upgrades keep taking place as you make changes. Now, in a one-off contract, if you make a change, that person will say, no, I don't accept it. Even if you give him a better equipment at a lesser cost, he'll say, no, the contract said this. And that's how it functions. At least in the Ministry of Defense, that's how it functions. I don't know elsewhere. But it functions like that. You make a small change and you will not get your money. Now, this does not happen. Now, the question which can be asked is, well, look here, if you have got strategic partners and you've got development partners, then what happens to the rest of us? What you are saying is, today you are importing 70% of your equipment. It's a huge amount. There's so much equipment, so there's a vast area where competition is still available. So there's a lot of competition available. You get into the competition route, set your patterns, parameters, get into the development mode. Now, if you look at any private industry, that's the way they function. Good companies function like that. They have vendor rating. They don't keep changing every day. That's how it functions. And that's how, if you look and study the industry which is there in any defense manufacturing country, you'll find that there are mergers, acquisitions, and you can name all the big defense industries, on your fingertips, just the major ones. So if you want a submarine manufacturer, you won't get many. If you see how many people are making aircraft engines, you are not going to get many. How is it possible for India to tread a different path? Ultimately, it has to stabilize at that level. So what we are saying is, that if it is going to stabilize at that level, then please start now by a major shift in policy. Because the policy that you are following will never reach you. You will never reach that position, and you will keep on quibbling amongst yourselves, and you are not going to get the technology. Because once you stabilize in these people, you can afford to have R&D. The R&D, some can be DRDO led, some can be industry led, some can be led at different levels of the armed forces, and everybody can combine. Similarly, the same thing in test facilities. Some very bad examples are there with us. Somebody has developed a gun, He couldn't test it anywhere in this country because you see which private entrepreneur has got a firing range and he couldn't get it. Well, the firing ranges are always, nobody will allow him to go there. I mean, what's the problem? He's an Indian, it's an Indian asset, he just happens to be a private guy, he wants to pay you 5 rupees just to enter and fire his gun. Now what we are saying is that unless this shift takes place, that there's a partnership between, and there's no antagonistic thing. Now this comes to my last point is that if you are going to have this policy change, then the persons who are in charge of implementing this policy must change. Attitudinally, they must change. What happens today is that everybody works in silos. So they say, well, look here, my job is in this silo. So I'm looking at taxation, I won't look at anything else. My job is only to procure, I will look at the price that I am going. I don't care a damn if this person doesn't get his money and if his factory stops. That's not my concern. If that attitude is there, then now that can only change if you remove those silos. And everybody has to be put under one umbrella. So most developed defense economies have done that. So you do not have a procurement agency which is different from a production agency, which is different from someone looking at the public sector and the private sector. All of them work together. And this attitudinal change is a very difficult thing to happen. And that can happen through training and orientation. We've made suggestions in that. So not only that you have this tectonic shift in policy parameters, you have the shift which is done in terms of the personnel who are going to be involved. And you have to train them to work together in what we call the hand-holding mode. And if this comes, then only, you'll find that this tremendous strength which we have can be put in one direction, and then you can use the entire force to move forward. Otherwise, people will still move, in different directions because the policy parameters today are not conducive to working together. So, in short, the question is that if the status quo in defense procurement policy continues, then the probability of your having strategic depth in Indian industry, in the defense sector, is minimal. If you make these changes, and if you have a partnership model at all levels, and you move towards a system where it stabilizes its sum, and then once you get these parameters, then you can concentrate on things like skill development, you can concentrate on R&D, you can concentrate on production things, because the environment is stable. There is no uncertainty in the environment. You know as an entrepreneur that you're going to be there for 50 years, so you can put your heart and soul and mind in it. So there's no confusion. And that, to my mind, is the only way that it can be done. And this is the recommendations that we've made, and hopefully we expect that if they are done, then there will be a tectonic shift and there will be a very good future for young people like you. Thank you.